Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally that girl in the kitchen. In today's episode, I am going to teach you how to make my world famous Frittata de Espinaca con queso, spinach and cheese casserole. Well, it may not be world famous, but it is definitely famous in my world. Everybody loves this dish. I make it the way my mom taught me how to make it, but just like in every Sephardic Turkish household, these dishes each have their own special little twist, and I tried to make it my own. So over the years, I added some more cheese, added more eggs, took away some cheese, played with the ratios until I came up with this, which I believe is the perfect combination. And the proof is that no matter where I go to dinner, this is the dish that is most requested for me to bring. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 32 ounces of frozen spinach that has been thawed, 4.5 cups of extra sharp shredded cheddar cheese, plus another half a cup separate. That's a total of 5 cups or 20 ounces. 1.5 cups of shredded Parmesan cheese, plus another half a cup separate. That's a total of 2 cups of Parmesan cheese or 8 ounces. Notice that shredded cheese is measured differently, so that's why I mention both the cups or the ounces. 8 large eggs, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and some non-stick cooking spray. Since I like to use frozen spinach for this recipe, what I do is I pull my spinach out of my freezer the night before I'm going to be cooking on the next morning, and I place them in my sink and I let them thaw slowly overnight. Of course, if you forgot to pull them out, then of course you can thaw them with some water in the microwave or according to the manufacturer's instructions. And you can use, of course, fresh spinach for this recipe. Just be sure that you're using the equivalent of what would be 2 pounds of frozen spinach when you're using fresh. You will also need a large bowl, a medium bowl and a fork, a large fork or something you like to use to stir with, some measuring spoons, and I use a 9x13 glass Pyrex, but of course you can use any 9x13 baking dish or even a disposable aluminum 9x13 pan. So now that your spinach has thawed and we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees so that it's nice and hot for when our mixture is ready. Then it's time to work on the spinach. So frozen spinach has a lot of water because once it starts to thaw, all those ice particles melt down and there's a lot of water in it. So it is really important that you grab your spinach bunch by bunch in your hand and you squeeze out all of the water from it. It's a little tedious, but believe me, it makes all the difference in the world. So it is really important that you eliminate as much water as you possibly can. Just squeeze real hard until all the water stops dripping from the spinach and there's nothing left in it. And then once you've eliminated all that water, which as you see can take quite a few squeezes, then you're going to add your spinach to your bowl. And then you're going to repeat that process over and over. You're just going to grab a bunch of spinach and you're going to squeeze it out until it's dry. And then once it is, you'll see how it clumps up from all the squeezing. Then just gently use your hands to kind of separate it and then add it to your bowl. You don't want it in solid clumps. You want the leaves to be somewhat loose. So then you grab another bunch and just repeat the same process. You're going to do this over and over until you've squeezed the water out of your entire 32 ounces of thawed spinach. This is really important, and it really is the most time-consuming part of this dish because the rest of it is very simple, but do not skip this part because it is really important. You don't want a runny, soggy fritada de espinaca. So once you have squeezed the water out of all of your spinach, then you're just going to use your fingers to go through your spinach and loosen the leaves up. Make sure that you didn't leave any little clumps behind because you want your spinach leaves nice and loose, kind of separate from each other, not clumped up. So now once your spinach is ready, it's time to move on to adding the other ingredients. So the first thing you're going to want to do is sprinkle in your salt. You'll notice that I'm using very little salt in this recipe because both the shredded cheddar and the shredded Parmesan cheese contain plenty of salt. So it's really just a touch of salt. Now, once you've added that in, then start adding your cheeses. So I'm going to add my shredded sharp cheddar cheese. It's best if you use extra sharp because it really gives it an amazing flavor, but at minimum, sharp. Don't go under that. And remember that when you measured out your cheeses, you separated a portion. So be sure you have that separate portion because we are not going to add that in right now. And then you want shredded Parmesan cheese. You're going to add that in. And don't be tempted to use the grated kind, the kind that comes in a bottle. That tends to be saltier and the texture is completely different. So for this recipe, you really want the shredded kind. Also remember that you separated some Parmesan cheese that you will not be adding right now. And then just go in with your hand and give it all a nice mix. I use my hand because it's easier to go to the bottom and to bring the spinach over to the top and just really help combine the ingredients without mushing them. I don't want to mush my spinach and I don't want to mush my cheeses. I want to keep them nice and light and airy. So just go through it with your hands and be gentle and start to bring the ingredients together. So once the ingredients have come together, it's time to bring over your eggs. So what I do is I grab a bigger bowl and then a smaller bowl and I crack my eggs one by one so that I can check them, and then I add them into my bigger bowl. So you're going to be using 8 eggs for this recipe. So just add all of them into your bigger bowl and then use your fork and give them a nice whisk. You want to beat these eggs really well. You want to make sure that all those yolks pop and that you get your egg whites and your yolks well combined. So beat them really, really well with a fork until they're nice and frothy and really well combined. So once your eggs are ready, then you are going to bring over your bigger bowl and we are going to add them in to our spinach and cheese mixture. Now, once your eggs are in, then what I like to do is I like to grab my large fork and I use that to gently fold my mixture over and bring the eggs in and incorporate them into the yummy spinach and cheese mixture. I just take my fork and go towards the bottom of the bowl and I just fold over and gently use the side of my fork to just bring the ingredients together. Remember, I don't want to mash this up. I really do not want to create a mushy mess. I just want to gently bring everything together. And then once I've used my fork, then I switch to my hands because really it's the only way to make sure that the egg is truly incorporated with the rest of the dry ingredients. You really get a feel for the mixture. So then use your hands and just fold your mixture over and make sure that that egg is really well distributed amongst your spinach and your cheeses. So once everything is well combined, wash your hands and then bring over your baking dish. Then grab your non-stick cooking spray and you're going to want to give your baking dish a nice coating of it. You want to make sure to get the sides of the dish and the bottom because as your fritada de espinaca con queso cooks, and the cheeses start to get golden and caramelized, we want to make sure that it doesn't stick to our pan. So now bring over your bowl and grab your large fork so that it'll help you get your spinach mixture into your prepared pan, and then just gently spill the mixture right into your pan. Now make sure to get all that delicious cheese. Now once everything is in your pan, then use your fork to help you spread the mixture out. You don't want to squeeze it down. Remember, we want to keep this light and airy. So very gently, just use your fork to spread the mixture around the pan, because what you're looking to do is equally distribute it amongst your pan, but you don't want to flatten it out. I'm just using the back of my fork to spread the mixture out to make sure that it is well distributed in my pan, so that my fritada de espinaca con queso can be uniform, so that it can be the same thickness throughout my pan. That's what you're looking to do. Just distribute the ingredients in your pan. So once your mixture has been well distributed in your pan, it's time to bring over that extra portion of cheddar and Parmesan cheese that you measured separately. I like to top my fritada de espinaca con queso with a layer of my cheeses. So I grab my cheese and I just sprinkle it right over my fritada, and then I am going to be creating this delicious layer of cheese that is going to get golden in the oven, and it's just going to make my fritada extra special. It's really, really delicious, and it really makes a difference. So once you've sprinkled your shredded cheddar cheese on top of your spinach and cheese casserole, then you guessed it, grab the portion of Parmesan cheese that you had separated, and then you're going to sprinkle that right on top. So these two cheeses will combine and they're going to melt in the oven, and the effect is going to be spectacular. It's very, very pretty, and it is extremely delicious. So once both of our cheeses are on top of our fritada, it is time to get our fritada into the oven. It's looking absolutely beautiful, and wait till you see what it looks like once it's cooked. So very carefully place it in your oven on a center rack, and then set a timer for 45 minutes to allow your fritada de espinaca con queso to cook. Now, once the 45 minutes have passed, you are not going to pull it out. You are going to then change the setting on your oven. It's looking golden and delicious, but to top it off, you're going to set your oven to broil, and then you are going to set a 3-minute timer, because we want to let those cheeses really get golden and delicious. And look at how remarkable they look. They are absolutely yummy. It's still sizzling straight out of the oven, and it has such a beautiful look to it, and the smell is incredible. It is so, so good. You have never had a spinach and cheese casserole like this one. It is a delicious version of a fritada de espinaca con queso, and it is really just the perfect combination of flavors. Look at how beautiful it looks. It just got that delicious, yummy golden cheese mixed with that incredible spinach. So good. So now what I like to do is I use a sharp knife and I portion my fritada de espinaca. I cut it into slices. So for this example, I'm going to be cutting it into 10 slices, but these slices are pretty large. So you could really cut it into 20 pieces and it would be perfect. This just makes it easier to serve, and it actually avoids fights. That way everyone knows how much fritada they get, because they are going to want to eat a lot of this. It is really, really tasty. So this way you can distribute it amongst your family and everyone is happy. So now on to my favorite part. And since I'm first, I get a corner piece, which is my favorite. That cheese becomes so crusty and golden. It's really, really delicious. Look at how incredible it looks. So that's a really big slice. So I'm going to cut it in half so that I don't overdo it. But wow, look at that. Look at that golden, crusty, delicious edge. So good. I can't wait to bite into this. Yeah, let me cut this in half and we'll save the other piece for later. But look at how crusty it is. The edges are so golden. Wow. And the inside is moist and delicious. Really, really good. Okay, so now let's cut into this and taste it. Look at how crusty that edge is. Wow. I can't wait to try this. Look at the delicious golden texture, and you see how that edge becomes caramelized. It's just incredible the way that cheese mixes in. Wow, it is so good. I cannot even describe how tasty it is. It is absolutely delicious. I need to get another bite. Look at how moist it is in the center. You see we kept it fluffy and light, and it's got that combination of cheeses. It's just perfect. Look at how beautiful it looks. Wow, that golden cheese on top, yummy. Delicious. Wow. You are really going to love this. Look at how beautifully golden this gets. This is such an incredible dish. You'll love it. This is a recipe you're going to want to hold on to. Look at how incredible this looks. And the taste is spectacular. You are going to want to make this over and over. So how absolutely delicious does this look? There are no words to describe just how yummy this dish is. The video doesn't even do it justice. It is so delicious. It's got that perfect combination of cheeses and that just perfect ratio of spinach to cheese to egg. And when you bake it in the oven and then broil it up on the top, it is just absolutely delicious. Everyone is going to love this recipe. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're going to have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, and most importantly, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And remember to subscribe to my channel and to touch that little notification bell so that you don't miss out on a single amazing recipe that I have planned for you. See you next time. Sally, that girl in the kitchen.